By the way, I told your employees and my coworkers the other day, we were doing this today. I says, believe it or not, I'm going to get him to sit still for 5 minutes. And we've accomplished that. You haven't moved a muscle.
How much more time we got?
Welcome back to Small Town Grit. Jim Kramer in for our buddy Corey Haubs today, who's out digging a basement someplace probably, or just remodeling somebody's home. Our guest today, and this has been in the works for a few weeks, is the third generation owner of one of Vassar's longest operating businesses, James Haines from Central Shop Rite. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I had to chase this man through the store, I don't know how many times, to get you to agree to do this.
Well, we chase each other. You have as much energy as I do, and I think that's truly it's fueling each other. Sometimes it's good and bad.
It really is. Now we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about fun things you like to do. But what I like to always start off with family, because if you're a successful business person, you've got a great family behind you as support. So again, most people watching this know James Haines from seeing him swooshing through the store, but don't know anything about you. So fill us in. Where'd you go to school? Married life? Yada yada.
Well, school, Vassar. I gotta love small town. It was a great experience, and moved on to college. Went to Ferris for a few years, and ventured off to do a few other little things. Probably one of the best things that ever happened to me during college was during a summer I decided to work. I was going to take a quick class, hang out, do the summer thing with the guys at college, and I got a part-time job working for a construction guy.
Really?
Gopher kind of a thing, It's like whatever. And so about the third week working for this guy, he's like, "Hey Jim, how you doing? It's good to see you today." He said, "I got to tell you, you're probably one of the nicest guys that's ever worked for me." He says, "But you're not a carpenter." And I'm like, "I knew that." And so, He relieved me of my position, and it was probably one of the best experiences that I'd ever had was being fired from a job. It put me on the other side of that coin a little bit, and so that was a growing experience. Mm-hmm. And from there, I ventured back to Vassar or Caro, I should say, and worked in the business there, and opportunities come available, and I decided to go in debt. Most business people do. Yeah, back in '94. My gosh, it's been a few years now. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget my first day walking into the store in Vassar as the owner. My first day. So I get there in the morning. I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, it's getting a little bit later in the day, and I have this young kid working for me comes up and says, Hey, James, I think I should probably tell you that there's a fire behind the store." I'm like, "Yeah, I need to know that." And so back in those days, we didn't have a baler for compacting cardboard. We had this great big barrel. My grandfather got a big oil barrel that he had cut out, and it was burning cardboard every day. That's when that's how you get rid of the cardboard. You burned it. So it was every day, all day. And somehow some things got out of it, and it caught this field on fire out behind the store. I get out there, I'm like, no way. So I'm calling the fire department. We get out there, and a couple hours later, the fire's out, and my grandmother lived right next door to the store, and I was over there every day for lunch, whatnot. So I go over there about dinner time. I'm cleaning all the soot off me and whatnot. And I'm like, the night crew's coming in. I really need to introduce myself to this third shift crew. Mm-hmm. So they come in, and I talk to these guys, and it's about 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, it's time to go home. I go walk out in the parking lot. I'm like, I thought I parked my car right here this morning. Where's my car? I go back and I call my dad. Now it's about midnight. "Hey, Dad, can you come and give me a ride home?" He's like, what's up? I'm like, my car's not here. He's like, "What do you mean your car's not there?" I'm like, "It's not there." He said, "Did you call the police?" I'm like, "Well, I called you first." He's like, "Call the police." And what a day. I'll never forget it, because it was April 1st. 1994, of all things. And come to find out, my car was stolen. I had an old Grand Prix, and it was easy to mess around.
In Vassar?
Yes.
But Grand Prix were a hot car.
Back in that day.
Yes, they were.
So I ended up finding the car down in Ypsilanti or some place like that.
Goodness.
Yeah. So it was a day that I'll never forget.
Oh,
my first day of work with fires. My car was stolen. It's like, is this how this is going to go? I think I'm in for a ride.
Yeah, at that point, a lot of folks would have just chucked it over their shoulders and been done with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, tell us about your family.
Oh, gosh. Well, I've been blessed to be part of a family-owned business, as you know. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather actually started that business back in 1937 as a meat packing plant. And that was in Merrill, Michigan. That's the other side of Hemlock, in the center of the state. Migrated to Vassar, and I'm off my years, but don't hold me to my years. But I believe it was about 1950, early 50s, mid 50s, downtown Vassar, actually where the jewelry store is.
Okay.
And I rented that tall building, which was a basement, where the jewelry store is, and then an apartment above. And so they lived there, and he did that small little grocery store for about 10, 11, 12 years there, and then ventured out to what now is IVY, which was a roller rink back in the day. If you remember that. It was a roller rink. It was how much fun that was. But rented that thing, and the big joke about that was that building, as you know, is super long, super narrow. Mm-hmm. So as a grocery store, it had 4 aisles, and the joke was, once you started shopping and you were entered an aisle, you were committed, because it was a long way to get down to the end. Yeah, so that was during those the late 50s and 60s, and then about 1971, my grandfather had built the store that's there today, and he passed away in 75, and my father and uncle had continued to operate that, and my father ended up moving to Carroll and built the store there, which is now VG's. Right. And in 1994 is when I had the opportunity. My uncle decided to retire, and he's like, "Hey, kid, do you want to go in debt?" All right.
This is Uncle Bob.
My Uncle Bob. Right. Bless his heart. Yes. Mm-hmm. And my father retired in 2000, and here we are today.
And it's all yours.
And we're still got the doors are open and the lights are on. And
now there's a fourth generation that snuck itself into that store. Your sons, Tyler and Alex.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And as you look at the future, do you suspect one of the two of them may step in?
Boy, now that's $1 million question.
I know it is. That's why I asked it.
Oh my gosh, and I can't help but share with you last night about the reality of family-owned businesses, and as you look around in our community, or any community, there's not too many family. Oh, it's all the world of corporate. Mm-hmm. And so as I tell my son that, do you really think that you have what it takes to do this? And as I was sharing with you, it's the reality of statistics that, as a family generation continues to move on to the next family, the reality of them being successful just narrows and narrows and narrows. And when you get down to a fourth generation family-owned business, and again, don't hold me to this, but I think it's like a 97%
failure rate. Yeah.
So as I tell my son, Tyler, 97 out of 100 Tylers fail. Do you really think you have what it takes?
I think he does. Because what I know of him and my experience with him, and it goes far beyond the last couple of months being in the store, he knows what he's doing. I'll go back to purple potatoes. Do you remember the purple potato story?
Oh boy.
We'd read something on the radio about purple potatoes, and I said, well, where do you get them? And I said, well, let's call Shop Rite, talk to Tyler. So we did. And he goes, oh, yeah, I got them. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Well, purple potatoes, oddly enough, potatoes originally were what color?
Yellow.
Purple.
I knew they was going there. I'm not going to say purple.
Purple. And when you cook them, they turn.
Change.
So you've seen purple beans, but that's beside the point. We're talking about Tyler and the possibility of the fourth generation. And, he's one of those types of men that I believe, has paid attention to everything you've taught him. Because when I first met him, he was in produce. Then a couple of years later, he's back cutting meat. Now, I'm surprised, number one, you trust him with sharp objects. And number two, I said to myself, this kid's learning the ropes. He's going to take over for Dad. And, we had a conversation yesterday, he and I had a conversation the day before. He's ready. He's just waiting for you to move.
And that's the challenge is I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I love what I do. I love, everything about that business.
What's the best part of the grocery business to you?
Oh, absolutely. It is when people can walk out of my business, turn around and go, that was a great experience. Mm-hmm. To come into grocery store, how boring, right? Mm-hmm. But to have people walk out and that was a great experience, and just making people happy. Whether the people that work for me or my customers, I thoroughly enjoy making people happy.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, because as some people may or may not know, I cashier at your store a couple of days a week. It's my retirement side hustle, and I'm having a blast. And I said to myself, because I've always wanted to do it, number one, when you think about one of the first memories almost everybody has is going to the grocery store with your mother. Okay? And I remember shopping at Kroger, Dort Highway at Robert T. Longway Boulevard. And I said to myself, I want to do this one day. And so when I retired from radio, and I realized that that's what I wanted to do as my side hustle. And I heard Katrina/Kate, or as I call her, Hurricane, laughing. And she's one of the checkout girls. And I was in the furthest reach of the store at the time. And I said to myself, I'm going to do this because this is fun. And as I told you, that's all I'm doing is having fun.
Well, and that's absolutely the mission, is that I get the people that work there are there for a purpose. They're there to pay for their cell phone. They're there to put gas in their car. They pay their bills and whatever sort. To have a little bit of fun with it, bonus.
Yeah.
That the people in our town, our community can like Katrina, can like that courtesy clerk, and they can feel fulfilled.
Right.
Bonus.
Earlier this week I was working, and I had an elderly lady as a customer. And I look up, and there's James standing there. He's got all of her bags up one arm and up the other arm, and he's going to help her out. Do you remember what she told you? She said, I don't need your help. And you said, well, I'm here. And you're going, So, and those, you go, I would venture to guess maybe years and years ago, Fred Meyer might have done something like that. But you're not going to find any of those managers or any of those people in a Meyer store doing what you did for that lady.
Well, and it's that personal satisfaction that you get, and as I share with all of our courtesy clerks, that young people that carry the groceries up to the car, is that I'm paying you to take groceries from the store to the car. The end of your job is not putting them in the car. The end of your job is going over, have a great day, Mrs. Smith. Mm-hmm. And again, I get you're here to put gas in your car. The reaction you get from opening a door for a young lady, young man, is priceless.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. So let's move on from the store. We'll come back to it in a little bit because I got a question about a meat locker. But let's go to James Haines when he's not in the store. By the way, I told your employees and my coworkers the other day, we were doing this today. I says, believe it or not, I'm going to get him to sit still for 5 minutes. And we've accomplished that. You haven't moved a muscle.
How much more time?
But when you're not in the grocery store, what do you do for fun? I heard, and I don't know if it's true, that you won some sort of dirt bike championship at the Pontiac Silverdome. Is that true?
That was quite a few years back.
Really?
Yeah. I've always was born on motorcycles. I still like to ride motorcycles, and I love to ski and play golf and. Jack of all, master of none. A little bit of. I like to do everything a little bit for sure.
So you still ride bikes from time to time?
I did. I was on a dirt bike last night. In fact,
were you really?
Yes, I was. Yes, I need to grow up a little bit.
But you look at this guy, and the last thing you think is dirt bike. So what else besides you get like a dune buggy or anything like that?
As my friends always tell me, like, James, you wear a shirt and tie every day, but you're such a redneck with a tie. And I get that. I get that. You know, my other hobbies, I have this great big lifted up old truck, and I love to go to the sand dunes and floor it, and rip around a little bit and have a good time with that.
No kidding. So your golf game, what's your average?
My handicap. Oh boy,
handicap average.
So I'm going to exaggerate that, of course.
Okay, so you do, and so will I.
Okay, I'm a strong bogey golfer.
Oh, okay. I could play with you.
Bogey's par.
Yeah, 40. If you shoot a 45 on the front nine, you're happy.
I'm happy.
Yeah, and the back nine, 45, and you're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, I hear you 100%. And you play in a golf league on Tuesday nights at the Vassar Golf and Country Club, and the name of the golf league is the Shop Rite League.
It is.
You own your own league.
We help sponsor it a little bit, but I certainly enjoy it. They do a great job out there, and what a blessing to have that golf course in our community.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's especially since they put it back the way it was, right? A couple of years ago, somebody had a bright idea of moving the holes around.
Yes.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, they're back to where they belong. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a woman that bought it and put it back the way it was supposed to be. Is that true?
And I've heard some stories on that. Yeah. No, but I love the traditional layout. You know, it has a nice traditional layout, and I love that.
There's a couple of holes there too, and I can't remember. I think at number 8 on the front nine, that dog leg left. Oh, you got to be kidding me! That's a crazy hole.
It is, and I did notice this year that they've took out some trees there to alleviate a little bit, and I'm okay with that. You know, it is. I'm okay with
Target golf. Baby. Put it down there by the water and hit your approach shot from there. So let's go back to the store for a minute. You know, we've talked about your dirt bike, and one of these days, I suspect we'll see one of those parked behind the store. You ever ride them to work?
I need to grow up out of that. I keep trying to get away from that a little bit.
Get yourself a Honda Goldwing and ride that to work.
Oh gosh!
But let's go back to, we were talking earlier about your grandfather and the store, the meat market in Merrill. And, you know, this was back in the mid 40s.
Well, late 30s.
Late 30s into the 40s. And you told me this yesterday. I did not know this. Back in those days, there was no such thing as a home freezer.
They were rare. I think that there were, but they weren't in every household.
Right, not like they are today.
Correct.
But your grandfather had a great idea.
He did. He did. He had a big walk-in freezer, and he took that walk-in freezer and lined it with lockers, and then would rent those lockers out to his customers. And so what they do is they come in once a week, they'd buy all their meat, fill that freezer up, and then on a daily, they'd come in and go in there and take a little bit of meat out and buy whatever little bit of product they needed. And
the burger. And
it was the frozen locker system that just made plain horse sense at my father or my grandfather, his creative words on everything. But,
he was quite the artist too. You told me that he did all of the ads, and your dad and uncle used to sit out back and use a printing press.
Oh, got it was a thing they'd sit there and crank this thing and print these ads out of, and I heard that was every Friday night, and they would crank those ads out and have a couple breweries.
I knew there was something else coming.
Geyers.
Thankfully, you don't have to do that.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, and the world of ads has completely changed.
Oh, sure it has.
You know, it's that printed ad has become a real tough market. You know, to be able to advertise on print ad it's all about media today. It's all about the electronic world.
Yeah, it really is. Now, when you talk about groceries, you have so many different departments from produce. You guys got a great deli. You've got a great bakery. But when the store opened up in its current location, was there a bakery and a deli at that time?
There was.
Was there?
There was, and it goes back to the Bill Bookman days, a long time ago. But yes, there was a bakery way back in the day. My father was always passionate about perishables and quality.
If the bakery people called in sick, could you and Tyler go back there?
Oh gosh, it might not be quite the same, but we would sure put effort into it. That's for sure.
Well, and you take a ton of pride in what you have at Central Shop Rite, because I've been in the grocery store. I've been in the store on a Sunday. And, you were pitching me that artisan bread one Sunday. That's very good. And I'm walking down the dairy aisle one Sunday, and I hear, Jim. And I turn around, and it was you. And we start talking. And he says, I complimented you on the music because you changed your music provider.
Yes.
And, I heard somebody say the other day, God, the music in here is just out of this world. And it is. We're talking about the music, and all of a sudden he says, you got a minute? I said, yeah. You know where I'm going? He says, you got a minute? I said, sure. What's going on? He said, I got to show you my bathrooms.
Oh, no.
You remodeled the bathroom.
We're gonna go there today.
Yeah, we are.
Really?
And next thing I know, I'm standing in the ladies' room with Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I told you we were going to have some fun.
Okay.
But the pride you have in that store is one of the reasons why you're so successful. There's no question in my mind. I said to you yesterday, people tell me it's the cleanest store they've ever been in. And the restrooms, the black fixtures are a little over the top. But you took a lot of pride in that.
Yes.
And if you're going to be successful in any business, the owner has to have pride, and that pride has to run down through the staff.
Well, and to your point of the cleanliness thing, it's life. The big things in life don't make the big differences. Life, it's really all about the little things, the details.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most common comments that I hear is, "Oh, James, your store is so clean." Now, I think it's filthy, right? I look a little different. But the overall feeling of that is that because our customers are looking at the corners and the edges and all those little no, but it's all those little things that make the big difference. It truly is.
One of my first days at the cash register, I went over and I leaned against the counter. And I was talking to one of my fellow cashiers, and I can't remember who it was. And she said, James says, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
Bless my grandmother.
So you'll find the cashiers doing that. I mean, washing down the belt and everything else, and it's just a little thing. Don't tell my wife I do that.
Oh, no, because then you'll expect it at home.
Please. But
leverage.
Yeah, it's called leverage.
Yeah, now you have it.
But you got the leverage?
Yeah, okay. I do.
Okay. So 10 years from now, you still going to be the whirlish dervish going through the store?
I absolutely see that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I want to have best of both worlds. I want to have my cake and eat it too a little bit, in 10 years from now. But hey, I have, today, my whole life is still about tomorrow. Everything is about tomorrow. It's not going to be long. Maybe 10 years might be stretching it, but I'm going to get really selfish. Yeah. It's going to be all about today. It's going to be all about me.
Yeah.
I'm still in that mode of tomorrow, but I can see start to taste a little bit. I don't know if I was sharing with you the other night, but it's not been 6 months that I'll get up in the morning, and if I don't have to be a certain time right away, I'll have a cup of coffee on the porch, 2 cups of coffee, and just walk away and go, that was okay. And that's so new, before that's like, gotta go. Mm-hmm. And, so it's
steps.
Yeah, as you start to, you trust the people that you have in high places, your managers and what have you. And, that sense of tomorrow does go away because I had that. I'd go to bed at night and go, God, tomorrow. This is what I'm excited about doing on the show tomorrow, or this is what I'm excited to do with the promotions that we got coming up. And then all of a sudden, like you said, it backs off, and you're not worried about tomorrow. You're worried about today, right now. What am I going to do? As we walked in this studio, you said something about, you got a tea time this afternoon. That's perfect. That's what it's all about. And when the tea times start outnumbering the meeting times, you're done.
Yes. Time to roll on.
You're done.
Time to change that world.
You're done.
Yes.
No question. So we're maybe a little bit more than 10 years.
It's really, it's up in the air a little bit. I don't know.
I'm not looking for a date.
Yes.
Who am I?
Yeah, right, right. No, I have so much energy for it. I absolutely love, I love what I do, and it's I don't see it changing anytime soon. I think Tyler would really wish it would change soon, but
well, you know, I told you we were talking the other day, and he said to me, I said, well, when do you think that's going to be? He goes, I don't know. He says, I don't see him slowing down. So, you know, he's probably right in your camp with you. So anything else you want to bring up while we're here? I mean, you've got, you know, we talk about Vassar all the. I tell you what I want to talk about, and that's giving back to the community, because I know you guys do a lot of that. And, you know, you talk about, you know, having that relationship with your employees and with your customers, but there's still people, you know, that shop someplace else. Shame on you. But, you know, you still give back to the community. What's the most important thing about giving back to the community?
Oh, it's absolutely, you know, it's the feel good thing a little bit, you know, that we have an opportunity to be able to help a nonprofit organization or any person that we want to be able to help a little bit. Is it having the opportunity to be able to do that is a win. It's kind of the opening the car for the lady. It's
right.
It's priceless.
Yeah, it really is. It truly is. And you guys do a lot of that. And you do a lot of stuff for the community. And, you know, you bring us great products at the store.
Well, I'm just so glad that we can still break eggs and mix flour every night. You know, I mean, today it's a world of take it out of a box, put it on the shelf, and that we can still cut meat and we can still bake, scratch. And
a lot of the big box stores, you were telling me this the other day, a lot of the big box stores, the Marts of the world, their meat comes packaged to the store.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, some of your chicken is, let's be honest, okay?
Right.
But not the red meat.
Right. A lot of that does today. It comes in a box, take it out of the box, put it on the shelf, and put a price on it. You know, I'm glad that we can still do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky to have you in the community. It's been a blast sitting here chatting with you for a bit.
Yes.
And, you know, your tea time's coming up.
Thank you
James,
much, my man.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you kindly. It was a blast.